Hello and welcome to Ctu Alumni, a podcast from the Czech Technical University in Prague about our amazing students and graduates from all over the world who have gone on to do big and beautiful things. My name is Caleb House. I'm an International Relations Coordinator at CTU, and I'm here to talk with our international alumni who have completed English top programs to find out why they decided to study at CTU, what their experience was like, and most importantly, where are they now? Let's jump straight in with today's guest. So with us today, we have Soumik Babuya, a citizen of Bangladesh. You came to Prague in 2017 to do a master's degree in optics and nanostructures at the Faculty of Nuclear Science and Physical Engineering. So thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So that's the basic introduction, but there's a lot more to know about you, I'm sure, before you came to CTU. Could you tell us a little bit about how you grew up, what the environment was like, and a little bit about your education before you decided to come to CTU?
I'm from Bangladesh. I grew up in the south of Bangladesh in a town. It's a small town in our sense. It's probably huge in European sense. I think there was at least 1 million people in the town. So we call it small town. After high school, I started studying electrical and electronics engineering as a bachelor, and I spent 4 years studying that. And after graduation, I realized I need to do something more. So I was looking for a place to do my master's, and this university presented a good opportunity, and that's how I am here.
How did you find it, though? Because I imagine there's not billboards all over Bangladesh advertising CTU, I don't think. So how did you even find the opportunity?
Because of my bachelor thesis, I wanted to focus on photonics, and I wanted to come to Europe for masters at least, and then my plan was to go to America for a PhD. Mm-hmm. So I started looking around, and there were a few universities in Austria, in Germany, England, Czech Republic. But with CTU, the program that I got in was very tailored to my requirements or what I was looking for. And I applied to all of them, and they got to me first. And so I said, that's a lovely opportunity. I might even do some research work because they were labs, and that's the beginning. I had to do some test, so we via Skype. I got into this university online, so through Skype I had to do a mathematics exam and physics exam.
What was that experience like? Like, you're in Bangladesh, you're talking to someone from a country that you'd never visited, I guess, answering math questions. Do you remember that experience?
Yes, I do. There were 10 questions for maths and physics. I had to answer and take a picture and then send it to them. And then later we had a session where I had to explain what I did. Mm-hmm. Physics was brilliant. It was fun. Mm-hmm. I think I got almost all of them right. Maths was a little bit wonky, but they're like, there you can improve this a little bit. And within a week, I got the result that I'm accepted. Pack your bags, come home.
And had you ever visited anywhere in Europe at this point?
No. I only went to Bangladesh and India. That's the furthest I traveled.
So what was that like when you arrived in Prague, knowing that you're going to be here for at least a few years? What were your first impressions of the university and of the city?
Since Bangladesh was part of the British colonies, so we drive on the left side of the road. So that was the surprising part after coming here. Like, why are you driving on the wrong side? I came here in May. The semester starts in October. They advised me to come during May so that I can catch up with the mathematics. So May was super summer. And it was hard to grasp that the sun might go down around 9 o'clock. So it was just bright everywhere and people were going to sleep. And it was just difficult. Like, I can see the sun. It's bright outside. I can't sleep now. Weather was a little bit different, no humidity.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess then a few months later, you had the opposite extreme of it getting dark at 4 p.m. What was that like?
Very depressing. I think, winter is, first year was depressing because suddenly I back home, I had a huge group of friends and we all lived in the dorm, studied together, hang out together, eat food together. And suddenly I'm here and I'm pretty much alone because from May till October, I was the only person going to the faculty, I think, because of the summer vacation. So I was just there with one of the lecturer and we were doing calculus for 3 months.
Did you have any doubts at that time that maybe this was not the right decision?
No, I didn't. I was very enthusiastic about photonics. I wanted to discover new things, do some good work, maybe publish some papers.
And how did that progress? Like your feeling of being integrated or being at home here, like how much time would you say it took to feel more connected with the university and the community?
I have to be honest, it never really caught up because people are probably not very interested in master study. My program had only one person, that was me. So the whole time I was the only one student in that program. I had a few friends from the faculty because our classes would overlap over the years. But that's just only class. So I never really got the, classmates environment. So it was just by myself in the libraries. The faculty had a good library too, because there was nobody. So I occupied the whole space.
Okay, got all the books, all the study spaces.
Yes.
Well, that's maybe a silver lining, but I imagine that was quite difficult. Like, how did you handle that, going from a very social environment and social culture to that type of experience so immediately? What was that like?
I found a unique way, let's just say, because I lived in a dorm and I would go to the university at 9:00 and then come home at 6:00. Didn't have much friends, and I thought I was too old to make new friends. The faculty, it's pretty much empty. I just speak with professors. So I started drawing. I started drawing whatever I see in Prague, whatever I go through in Prague, like little interactions on Instagram. So that became my channel to put something out. Like if I had some anxiety or some feelings inside, I was so lonely that I went to draw. So that's what I did. I did school, I cooked, and then I drew. That went on for 2 years, I think.
Just from the social element, we'll come to the academics in just a second, but from the social element and the cultural element, do you think that you might have had a better experience, or you wish that you had decided to study somewhere else?
To be honest, no. Because I was very... the study part was hard, and I knew they were touching the exact things that I wanted to learn. So, and also this one-on-one study style. So I can ask them anything.
Right.
So since I'm the only student, so I had this open channel where I can ask anything. I was available all the time. So I was learning. So I think this is the silver lining in this whole thing.
That's a very unique academic experience as a master's student, to basically have one-on-one like tutor time with the experts in the field for 2 years.
Even in the group classes, some teachers were not, some professors were not eager to take the classes in English, even though my program was in English. So they told me, you can come once a week to my office and then we can discuss. So I met some amazing professors who were we just sat in their office and then learned. So we would have tea, and then sometimes the classes would be like 3 hours.
So this is very unique, and I think viewers need to understand this is very rare even at CTU in general. But for you to have this experience, do you feel like it really gave you what you were looking for, and it prepared you for where you wanted to go?
I'm not sure if it gave me what I was looking for, but I was learning. I think the social aspect, I missed that.
Yeah.
I wished I had classmates to kind of go through things. Did you understand that? That's how I learned during my bachelor. We would help each other with problems. And now I'm kind of by myself. And, sometimes you run into a problem and I was not interested in, or I was too shy to ask the professor for minute things. I think a classmate, if they were there, I would ask them and we can discuss and find a solution together.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And as for the academics, did everything go smoothly through the 2 years? You learned everything you needed to do? You checked all the boxes, or was it a little bit more windy?
No, I ran into some issues. I think when I came here, my supervisor wanted to do the master's thesis. So, first year you do a little bit, and then second year you do the finalization, and then a proper master's. And the subject he presented, I didn't like it that much. And later I realized it's not what I was looking for. It was a theoretical work, and I wanted to do some experiments, get some actual results. And so we had an issue with that. I couldn't finish the second part of the first year. So I told him that I would like to do some experiments. So I had to find another professor. I found another professor, but then I had to extend 1 year because of the technicality.
Okay.
So, and
how difficult or easy was that to do logistically within CTU, and then also thinking about like your plans, your finances, and things like that?
It was difficult. I think extending 1 year was a little bit help, but also I had to pay extra 1 year. But I wanted to do some actual physical work. So I started emailing professors. I started asking my professors, hey, I want to do this kind of work. Do you know somebody in a lab? And luckily I found a professor in Institute of Photonics and Electronics. And we met a couple of times, then we came to a conclusion that this might be good for a final thesis. But at the same time, I have to do a whole thesis that's like almost 2 years worth of work within 8 months.
Why not?
So they hired me for 1 day a week to do some lab work. I worked with fiber lasers for my master's thesis, and it was all good. I didn't have any beef with my previous professor. He was supportive.
During all this time, was there any specific person that you think that really kind of helped smooth the experience and made things easier for you? Or
I think the most helpful was Dr. Benesh. I think he was the dean back then of the faculty, and he was just always. We would have I think every 2-3 months we'd have a meetup, how it's going, and I couldn't believe that one person is just very interested in what's going on in my life. What am I learning? Is there any way he can help? So he helped me financially, helped me with advice, any kind of logistic paperwork. He was always there. So I really appreciate it. He was the person who took my exam as well.
That's great.
So
you had a 2-year master's that it was extended for a year. So if I understand correctly, you graduated in 2020.
Yes.
At the height of the pandemic as well.
Yes.
And at that time, were you planning to stay in Prague and work?
This is probably a bigger explanation.
Sure.
Yeah. It's ironic. I started my admission journey via Skype and ended my
everything
graduation on a Teams call. By then, when I graduated, I think I went through some changes philosophically inside me, and I realized I do not want to do this anymore. I have a thesis done. I have some research experience, at least 1 year lab experience. Even though I have that, I realized I want to do creative stuff. That would make me happy, because I have to be honest, the whole 3 year was very stressful.
Mm.
You know, I was not happy. I was always stressed. I was anxious,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think I wanted to continue in this way. I wanted to do some work that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I've already this online comics going on, and through the online comics, I'm getting interviewed by newspapers. I'm people are calling me for exhibitions. They want to show my work. I got a few jobs here and there. So I was actually, while I was studying masters, I was actually working as a designer, as an illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
taking that money, and I was putting it to the school. So I already realized like this can be a way of living. So as soon as I graduated, something happened, and I was like, I will try to make a living this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I got my first job, I called my mom, and I was like, "Ma, I'm gonna be a designer from now on. Engineering is not for me anymore."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Is that a phase? Is it gonna be like 2 year you do this and you go back to engineering?" I'm like, "Ma, this is never gonna happen." They're happy. I understand their point. They want stability in their kids, and I have a job. I can tell her that I am stable now, so you don't have to worry about that. So she's okay now.
Mm-hmm. But how did it feel to finish a master's degree in a very, very difficult topic and a very specific topic, and then to immediately realize that you want to look for jobs that aren't using that master's?
No, I'm using a lot of things I've learned from engineering.
Okay.
I think the fundamental is more philosophical.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to create things that I can see instantly. I can see the result within a few hours, few days. Mm-hmm. With engineering, that result will take a long time. I realize I probably do not have that much patience, and I don't think it's fair for every engineer to have that patience. I kind of asked myself, do I want to continue this? And I realized, no, I do not. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean I'm throwing away all the things I've learned in the school. I have the school taught me amazing things, like the exam system here.
I think you're the first guest we've had that was immediately looking for work but not in the field that you studied. And others have said that the name of CTU in the Czech Republic is quite strong, that if you're working in the field, like people want graduates from CTU. You looking for work in kind of a different field, did you still feel that the name of CTU on your degree had some weight, or were you kind of starting from scratch, just saying, I have these drawings and these comics, then I'm good at this, so hire me, but they were not looking at your diploma from CTU?
No, I don't think they were looking for a diploma from CTU. But whenever I tell people that I survived Yedrka, Faculty of Nuclear Science and Physical Engineering, they get surprised. Yedrka, that must be tough, because it's one of the toughest faculties in this country, and rightfully so. So why are you here? Why are you animating? Why are you making videos or designing things? Why not stay in engineering? And I explained to them, this is how it went. I just wanted to do creative stuff.
So what does your work look like now? What's your day-to-day?
Yes, I work as a designer in an advertising agency, and my day-to-day job looks like I do animation, I do video editing, I come up with concepts. Brands want to show a campaign, how the campaign will look like as a billboard, as a social media post, how the video will look like. So I come up with those concepts. If the company has a problem, I have a new product I want to sell, how do I sell it? So we, as a part of the creative department, we come with creative solutions.
Do you think you're going to stay where you are for a while?
I'm happy now. Yeah. My hobby became my job. So I couldn't ask for a better job. I'm drawing. I'm also doing this for the company. I got my own projects going on.
Tell us more about your own projects, because we're here on a podcast.
Yes.
I happen to know that you have a podcast that has quite a bit more experience and more episodes than this podcast currently does. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course, my podcast is just me talking with a bunch of friends or me talking alone. I draw comics about life in Prague, my life in Prague, and I do a podcast also talking about life in Prague or whatever I'm going through, whatever I'm realizing about life. We're all trying to figure things out in life, I feel. So I'm just there with a mic sometimes talking about it. So it's all called Alien in Bohemia on Instagram and Alien in Bohemia podcast on Spotify or everywhere.
So if our listeners are looking for more podcasts and information about daily life in Prague and what it's like to be a foreigner in Prague, then they should definitely check out Alien in Bohemia. Can you share one story or experience from that you used in your drawings or your podcast about your life in Prague and adjusting as a foreigner here?
I think it's an injustice to put out one because this is tiny. I can name names in a way. Like people love rolik here. The way
rolik, what's rolik?
Rolik is the bread, the staple bread here, and from rich to poor, everybody eats rolik. It's used everywhere. So rolik is probably the best bread in Czech Republic. It's an insignificant thing. So when I started doing the comics, I would point out things that seems fascinating to me. Old people, they're grumpy, but if you have a dog, they're not grumpy. So I would draw these kind of tiny realizations on Instagram, and then Czech people would say, "Hey, I never really thought about it, but nice observation." So I got a lot of support. I mean, I think it's the people from online that gave me this confidence to go on to improve my storytelling ability, to go through experiences and put it online, and their support kind of gave me this confidence that I can make a whole career out of nothing.
It sounds like you made your own luck also, like you had an interest and you really decided to go for it and put it out there in the world, and then this gave you some wind in the sails for people to actually know what you're capable of. And I think that shows really important skills of what you're able to do. So it makes sense that then they want to hire you. And so where is this going? What do you think is next for you 5-10 years down the road? Do you think you'll be in the Czech Republic for a long time, or where would you like your career to take you?
I love Prague. I think I changed as a person who came here in 2017. I don't know that person anymore. Prague taught me a lot. I think it's a very nice place to hide away from everything, but also immerse yourself in a lot of things. I did the hiding part for the last 3 years, first 3 years, and then immersed the rest. I think I kind of found myself. So it's a weird word. I found myself in Prague, but it is true for me. I love the city. I think it's the closest place as a home. I think this is home for me.
What do you love about it?
I think it's people don't bother you. People don't care what you're going through, but at the same time, you meet a group of people, and then they love you like a family. So people makes the difference. It's beautiful here, and I walked a lot in Prague. So I think I was just things were going in my head, and Prague environment, people, sometimes coldness, helped me realize things about myself. So I kind of got to know myself a lot in Prague, and I love the city. I don't know how long I will stay in Prague, but I would like to continue the things I'm doing, create things, make stories, and then make people laugh, make people explain things to people about life, and let's see how it goes.
So for our listeners who might be prospective students thinking about studying at CTU, or maybe current students who are wondering what it's going to be like after they graduate, is there anything that you would say to them? Any lessons that you've learned or words of wisdom?
Yes, I'm gonna get close. I think professors in Czech Republic are very intelligent. I think, at least in my faculty, they were very intelligent. And if I was curious, they would put a lot of effort. So I think professors are ready to help you if you are curious or eager to know. So if there is a student out there who's thinking about learning a lot of things, if you look at the professor, he might teach you a lot of things. He will help you. This exam style, as I mentioned, that helps a student learn a lot. There's plenty of institute you can do experiments if you're thinking about experiments, but it's a good environment to learn. Sadly, I couldn't continue. I didn't continue. I have no regrets about it, but I think if I continued, I would also learn. I would also do great work and do some good for the world.
I think curiosity is always an important trait. If a student is coming and just looking to figure out how they can pass the exam or the assignment, then of course the professor is not going to be as engaged.
I was thinking that during my first year, I'm just going to pass it. I'm just going to write the exam. But then, boom, exam happened. I remember one time I had a 4-hour-long exam, and I got a C.
So then you knew you had to do better.
Yeah, mathematics is they like to do maths here. We went through a vigorous 3 months of mathematics.
Yeah. Soumik, thank you very much for being with us. I'm going to ask you to close the podcast in just a minute in kind of a special way that we do with all of our guests. But first, for our listeners, if you are an international alumni of CTU, you might not have heard that you can join the CTU Alumni Network. And this has a lot of benefits, not only opportunities to tell your own story, but to catch up with former classmates, to go to events exclusively for CTU alumni, connect with professionals, find out what CTU alumni are doing all over the world. So you can find more information on the website that should be on your screen or in the description of this podcast, depending on where you're listening. You can also get started connecting with professionals right away on our LinkedIn group. That's CTU Alumni. Join us there. Start connecting with people all over the world. So we hope that you will sign up and get connected. We'd love to know what you're doing and where life has taken you after CTU. So Soumik, thank you once again for being with us. And we're going to end in just a second. I want to wish you the very best from CTU and from all of us in whatever comes next to you. It seems you're going to have a very interesting and diverse career in any case. And for each guest, we ask them to close the podcast in their native language to show how diverse and international this community is. So if you could say goodbye and whatever message you want to leave with the viewers in your native language.
ধন্যবাদ আপনাদের জীবন সুখী হোক